My name is Evelyn Jackson, and I'm 50 years old, a black woman from Jackson, Mississippi. I grew up in a narrow shotgun house on Farish Street, where the air always carried the scent of fried catfish and the sidewalks buzzed with the voices of neighbors who'd known each other since dirt was new. For the past 25 years, I've worked as a nurse's aide at St. Dominic's Hospital, scrubbing bedpans, changing sheets, holding hands of patients who'd sometimes recoil when they saw my brown skin. Now I live alone in a brick duplex near the railroad tracks, its yellow paint peeling off in flakes. The front yard a scruffy mix of crabgrass and a lone rosebush I planted when my mama passed 10 years back. I'm not perfect. I've got a temper that flares when I'm worn out. I love a glass of sweet tea late at night, and I've missed more Sunday services than I've attended. But I've always tried to treat folks right, even when they didn't. Return the favor. I was born in 1975, after Jim Crow was supposed to be dead and buried, but its ghost still haunts Mississippi. My mama, Ruth, worked as a maid for white families up on State Street, coming home with swollen hands and stories, how they'd call her girl at 40, how they'd leave a $1 tip like it was a grand gesture. She raised me and my brother, Leon, single-handed after Daddy took off when I was 5, leaving nothing but a rusty harmonica he used to play on the porch. Every night, she'd sit us down with her old King James Bible, its leather cover worn thin, and read Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. She'd tell me, Evelyn, this world's gonna try to knock you down, but the Lord's got your back. I clung to those words, even when life made them feel like a faint flicker in the dark. Racism's been my shadow my whole life, sometimes loud as a slap, sometimes quiet as a glance, but always there, pressing down. At St. Dominic's, I'd catch whispers from white coworkers. She's slow, she's lazy, even though I'd pull double shifts without a word of complaint. Patients would ask for a different nurse, their eyes sliding past me like I wasn't even human. Out in town, I'd feel stares at the grocery store, my hand tightening on my purse as a clerk trailed me down the aisle. Just last month, my neighbor Carl, a white man with a Confederate flag hanging proudly on his porch, called me the N-word straight to my face when I asked him to turn his music down at 2 a.m. Go back where you came from, he snarled, as if Jackson wasn't my birthplace too. I swallowed my rage, walked away, but inside, it was a weight I couldn't shake off, a bruise that wouldn't heal. It was Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, a sticky, hot evening even for early Mississippi spring. I'd just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital, my feet throbbing in my beat-up sneakers, my back howling from lifting patients all day. I stopped by the Piggly Wiggly on my way home, grabbing a loaf of white bread, a can of collard greens, and a pack of chicken thighs for supper. The cashier, a young white girl with blonde hair and a sloppy bun, barely glanced at me, muttering, "Bag it yourself," while she scrolled her phone. I sighed, stuffed the groceries into my reusable tote, and trudged home under a sky turning purple with dusk, the cicadas starting their evening chorus. When I got to my duplex, I saw Carl's pickup parked crooked in his driveway, music blaring. Again, some country tune about rebel flags and whiskey that rattled my windows. I'd had enough. I marched over, knocked on his door, and tried to keep my voice steady. "Carl, can you turn it down? I've been on my feet all day." He stepped out, a beer can in his hand, eyes bloodshot and mean. "Don't tell me what to do, you..." He spat that word again, louder this time, then added, "Nobody wants you around here." My chest tightened, heat rushing to my face, anger and hurt tangling up inside me. But I turned away, hands trembling as I climbed my porch steps. I wasn't gonna give him the fight he wanted, not tonight. Inside, I dropped my tote on the kitchen counter, my heart pounding like a drum, a sharp pain jabbing under my ribs. I figured it was stress. Lord knows I'd carried enough of it. Or maybe the heat pressing down. I'd had high blood pressure, for years, diagnosed after a dizzy spell at work a decade ago, but the pills usually kept it under control. I sank into my old floral couch, the one Mom had bought at a yard sale for $10, and closed my eyes, whispering, "Lord, give me strength." Then it hit me like a freight train. A wave of dizziness washed over me, the room spinning like a top, my breath catching in my throat. Pain exploded in my chest, sharp and hot, shooting down my left arm. I clutched at my shirt, gasping, "Jesus, help me!" I reached for my phone on the side table, but my fingers went numb, and it slipped, clattering to the hardwood floor. My vision blurred, the walls tilting, and I slumped over, darkness swallowing me whole. No more of Carl's music, no hum of the fridge, just a cold, dead silence. I came to, but I wasn't on the couch anymore. I stood in the middle of a wide field, lush green grass stretching out forever, dotted with wildflowers. Yellow buttercups, purple asters, little white daisies swaying in a breeze. The sky above was a deep, piercing blue, so vivid it almost hurt to look at, and the air smelled sweet, like honeysuckle blooming on a summer day. I felt light, unburdened, no ache in my chest, no weight in my bones, just a peace I hadn't known since I was a child running barefoot in Mama's yard. I glanced down. No sneakers, no faded scrubs. Just me in a plain white dress, my feet bare against the cool, soft earth. I wasn't afraid. I felt free, like I'd shed a soaking wet coat I'd been dragging around for years. Then I heard a voice, not booming like thunder, not faint like a whisper, but deep and clear, resonating from within me and all around me at once. "Evelyn," it said, "you've carried so much." I turned, and there he was. Not a man with a beard or an angel with wings like the pictures in Sunday school, but a presence, a golden light that shimmered warm and bright, too radiant to stare at directly, yet too comforting to look away from. I knew it was God, no doubt in my soul, and I dropped to my knees, tears spilling down my cheeks, soaking into the grass. "Lord," I choked out, "why's my life been so hard? Why do they hate me for something I can't change?" He didn't answer right away. I felt him draw closer, like an invisible hand resting on my shoulder, steady and strong, a comfort that sank into my bones. "Walk with me," he said, and the field shifted around me. Suddenly, scenes from my life flashed before my eyes, vivid and real, like a movie playing on a screen I couldn't touch. I saw myself as a little girl, 5 years old, holding Mama's hand as we passed a faded whites only sign on a diner wall. Her fingers squeezing mine tight when a white man spat on the sidewalk near us, his eyes cold and hard. I saw my teenage years, sitting in the back of the bus even after segregation laws fell, feeling the weight of stares boring into me from the front rows. I saw St. Dominic's, a white doctor barking, "Hurry up, Evelyn," as I scrubbed blood, off a stretcher, his tone sharp like I was a machine, not a person. I saw Carl, his sneer twisting his face, his words slicing through me like a rusty blade. "Nobody wants you here." "Why, Lord?" I asked again, my voice breaking, tears hot on my face. Why'd you let them treat me like this? His voice came back, gentle but firm, like a father explaining something hard but true. Evelyn, what you've endured, the hatred, the contempt, it's not your burden to bear. It's theirs. In this land of America, the sin of division runs deep, sown in pride and watered with fear. But listen to me. It's all a trial, a fire to refine your soul. I looked up, confused, wiping my eyes with the back of my hand. A trial? I repeated, my voice trembling. He went on. Yes, my child, every insult, every scornful glance, every door slammed in your face. It's been a test to grow your spirit, to teach you grace, to pull you closer to me. You've carried it with strength, even when you felt weak. More images came then, not just my life, but others I'd known. I saw old Mr. Henry, his face bruised and swollen from a beating in '63, just for sitting at a lunch counter in Hattiesburg. I saw my cousin Tanya, her eyes red from crying after she got fired from her waitressing job for talking back to a rude customer. I saw kids at the park last summer, laughing and chasing each other until a white man with a snarling dog ran them off, shouting slurs as they fled. This pain, he said, is not your fault, not your curse. It's the world's brokenness, and I weep with you through every tear. But you, Evelyn, you've held fast. You've loved when it was hard, forgiven when it stung, prayed when hope was a thread. That's why you're standing here with me now. I wiped my face again, his words settling into me like rain on parched ground. But it hurts, Lord, I said, my voice raw. It hurts so much it's like dying every day. He answered, I know, daughter. I carried it too. Every lash, every jeer, every nail. But I overcame, and so will you. This isn't the end. Your soul's still growing, still unfolding. The light pulsed, warm and alive, and a peace flowed over me, deep and wide like a river washing away years of grime. What do I do now? I asked, my voice steadier. Go back, he said. Live with the strength I've given you. Tell them I'm near, that every trial has purpose. Keep Psalm 46 in your heart. I'm your refuge, your strength. The field began to fade, the wildflowers blurring into streaks of color. His voice echoing as I felt myself pulled back, gentle, but firm, like the tide calling me home. I jolted awake, my chest heaving, the floral couch soaked with sweat beneath me. Pain stabbed through my ribs, my head pounding like a drum, but I was breathing. Ragged, burning breaths that scraped my throat. The room was dark, Carl's music still thumping faintly through the wall, my phone buzzing on the hardwood floor, where it had fallen. I reached for it, hands shaking like leaves in a storm, and squinted at the screen. 9:47 p.m. I'd been out for over an hour. My tote bag lay tipped over beside me, the chicken thighs leaking juice onto the faded carpet, the bread squashed under the can of collards. I grabbed the phone, fumbling, and dialed 911, my voice weak and raspy. I think I had a heart attack, the da. Paramedics arrived fast. 2 white men, one older with a gray beard and calm eyes, the other young and jittery, his hands quick on the equipment. They hooked me up to machines, their voices sharp and urgent. Pulse is weak, BP's dropping. Let's move her now. The older one glanced at me, his tone softening. Hang on, ma'am, we've got you. They loaded me into the ambulance, sirens wailing, lights flashing red and blue through the windows as we sped toward St. Dominic's, the same hospital I'd scrubbed floors in for decades. In the ER, they ran tests, EKG lines spiking, blood drawn, machines beeping. Dr. Hayes, a black woman with short braids and a no-nonsense face, came in later, her expression grave. "Mrs. Jackson, you had a mild cardiac arrest. Your heart stopped for a full minute. We don't know how you came back on your own. You're lucky to be alive." I nodded, still trembling, and whispered, "It wasn't luck." She raised an eyebrow, her pen pausing over her clipboard, but didn't push. "They kept me overnight, hooked me to monitors, started me on new blood pressure meds, and told me to take it easy. The next day, I went home, hobbling up my porch steps with a cane they'd given me, my body sore but my heart still beating. I looked out my kitchen window as I sank into a chair. A cardinal, bright red against the gray morning sky, landed on my rosebush, chirped once, sharp and clear, then flew off into the pines. I thought of Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, and knew it was his sign, telling me I was back for a reason. I'm a different woman now, not loud about it, not standing on soapboxes, but changed deep down where it counts. I quit St. Dominic's a week later, couldn't take the whispers or the sidelong looks anymore, and started volunteering at the community center on Lynch Street. I help the kids with their homework, teach them to read, pull out Mama's old Bible, and tell them about Psalm 46 when they ask why life's so hard. I go to Mount Zion Baptist every Sunday now, sitting up front with my hymnal, singing Amazing Grace with every ounce of my soul, my voice blending with the choirs. Carl's still next door, still loud some nights, but I don't let him get to me. Last week, I baked a pan of cornbread, golden and crisp, just like Mama taught me, and left it on his porch with a note. "Peace, Evelyn." He didn't say thank you, didn't knock on my door, but the music's been quieter since. I've told my story to folks at church. Sister May, who wraps me in a hug every Sunday like I'm her own. Deacon Brown, who nods slow and knowing, like he's felt that same weight. They say I should share it wider, that people need to hear it in a world that's still so broken. I'm not much for writing or talking big, but if you're listening, here's what I've got to say. Life's tough, especially when you're black in a place like Mississippi, when folks look at you like you're less than dirt. I carried that pain till it stopped my heart. But God showed me it's not my shame. It's a trial, a fire to make my soul stronger, wiser, kinder. He told me it's all got purpose, even the worst of it, and he's right there through every step. Every morning now, I brew tea, sweet with a splash of lemon, just how Mama liked it, and sit by my rosebush, watching the sun climb over the rooftops. I open Mama's Bible to Psalm 46, run my fingers over the faded ink, and pray, "Lord, keep refining me, keep me growing." Sometimes, in the rustle of leaves or the trill of a bird, I hear him answer. Not loud, not clear as a bell, but steady and sure. "I'm here, Evelyn. You're enough." For the first time in my 50 years, I believe it with everything I've got.